Volkanovski put out on social media a very creative picture. It was him, the champ, sitting on a couch, reading a book while holding Henry Cejudo on his knee, like an uncle reading a bedtime story. Right, superimposed and photoshopped and all, like a baby with Henry. Said, you guys get it. Okay, have I described this photo? But there's more to it, right? The old expression of a picture is worth 1,000 words is very true. I mean, first off, was this clever? Yeah, sure. Is it the most funny thing you're going to see today? No, of course not. That isn't the point, though. Make sure you don't miss the point. Henry has been poking Volkanovski for a while. Volkanovski has largely dismissed Henry, and for good reason. Up until recently, Volkanovski had an opponent named Max Holloway. There's even been reports after Volkanovski fought Max Holloway that Volkanovski could have an opponent named Max Holloway. And the true, at least true amongst us, amongst the fans, the true match to interfere with Volkanovski and Holloway Part 3, the real one to just shut the book on the whole thing, was Zabit versus Rodriguez that got pulled. So if we all as fans look to Zabit versus Rodriguez as the semifinal, that's the one that's going to feed into Volkanovski. If we look at that as such, and that's off the table, you're back at Max. Now, that doesn't mean that Volkanovski's going to have to fight Max. But it is a good idea that if his 10 rounds in there with Max is all the rounds that he wants to do, and in all fairness, by God, it's all he has to do. He doesn't owe us anything. It is incumbent on him to start to point the cannon in a different direction. You have to understand, there's an old expression, I believe it was from The Godfather. Might have been part 1, part 2, part 3. There was an old expression, right when you think you're getting out, they pull you back in. And things just have a way of happening. I mean, there's just kind of a pattern, particularly within this space and all competition, where the first step to something happening is denial that it's going to happen. I mean, in large part, when Volkanovski came out and said he was refusing to fight Henry, and Henry could come up to the weight class and respect everything you've done, but do something at this weight, young man. Him doing that, if you take away, no, this chapter is a hard stop, would be false to the history of the sport. I mean, in large part, things start with being denied. And it doesn't mean that Volkanovski is playing some game. Volkanovski is very sincere with you when he says, no, respect everything you did. This is 145. Come do something here and see your way to me. I'm the champ. He's very sincere. It's just an interesting point in human nature. And it's almost as though people always forget. Hate is not the opposite of love. Indifference is the opposite of love. Right? If that girlfriend still hates you, you still got a chance. Once she quits talking about you, now's when you got problems. Now's when you're going to have to be looking for a new homecoming date, if you will. And I only bring that up because as a picture's worth 1,000 words, there is something very relevant to the fact that Volkanovski is now photoshopping, taking a picture and sending it out to his sphere, something very condescending, which he owes. He owes Henry a nice condescending tone of some sort. But there's something relevant to it. There's something relevant to now the champ himself is discussing Henry Cejudo. Up, down, or sideways, he is no longer indifferent.